The model that we will be focusing on this week is the differentiated model of giftedness and talent by Dr. Gagne. And this is a little bit of background on Dr. Gagne. His perspective is very scholarly and psychological, and his work is very conceptual, and you can see some of the work he's done. The basis of this model is distinguishing the difference between giftedness and talent. So giftedness is superior natural ability or having extraordinary aptitudes or gifts. And talent is superior mastery of systematically developed competencies or having highly developed skills and knowledge. And both of those, giftedness and talent, are substantially advanced. Both giftedness and talents refer to human abilities and individuals who differ from the norm. And when we say differ from the norm, it's that they are more advanced than their peers in one way or another. And often people will use these terms interchangeably or lump the two together as one term. So this model distinguishes between the two terms, giftedness and talent, and believes that they are two separate ideas. The developmental process is a big part of this model, and it is the transformation of natural abilities into skills that define competence or expertise. So essentially transforming gifts into talents in a particular field. And there was a quote that I really liked in this chapter and helped me to understand really what competence and talent is. So the quote was, "Talent is to gifted education what competence is to general education." And basically, we're saying that competence is reached just before talent or expert behavior. So competence is what every student should be able to reach, where expert behavior is what talented students should reach. And there are 4 different parts to this developmental process. Maturation, which is changes in the brain physiology, equals changes in cognitive abilities. So this part affects one's gift, which in turn affects one's talents as well. Informal learning are the daily activities that one participates in, and those are often practical intelligence activities. These also affect one's gift, which again would affect one's talents. Non-institutional formal learning. Those are leisurely activities typically that one would like to develop, and that's talent development, such as someone who is self-taught in piano or decides to take up a second language, self-taught, or cooking classes. Just someone's interested in a talent and would like to further develop that talent. And there is formal institutional learning, which is schooling. And typically during the formal learning, there's recognition of a competency, and that is development of talent as well. The next slide is about catalysts, and there are 2 dimensions of catalysts. The direction dimension, which can help or hinder, and the strength of impact, which plays a role in how just how strong that catalyst is in their talent development. And intrapersonal are the physical characteristics, motivation, volition, self-management, personality. And also physical and mental characteristics have been separated. Self-management plays a huge role in self-development, part of the intrapersonal. Motivation is goal setting when one is exploring their needs, passions, and values. Volition would be goal attainment activities such as time management, perseverance. Um, Environment is the second piece of the second catalyst, and that would be whether a student lives in a suburban or urban setting where they may have more resources, for example, in their school. Their family size, parental support at home, socioeconomic status, the presence of opportunities for acceleration in the school, and the opportunity for ability grouping within the school. That would be programming in their environment. Also, events such as illness, recognition, or loss of a family member are all environmental catalysts. And chance really plays a role in all components except for the developmental process, because there is a chance in genetics, a chance of environment, chance of family unit, chance of a major event in one's life, chance in the school that they must attend due to their location. So chance really permeates the others as well. This is the differentiated model of giftedness, and this specific chart is from Gagne's website. And I think it's a slightly different arrangement from the textbook chart, but it clearly shows the natural abilities. It has the environmental, interpersonal, developmental process, and the competencies. So this is in the textbook, and you can refer to that for more information. There's also, for those of you who can appreciate color, I liked this chart visually, so this is just another example from his website. It's a condensed version, slightly less wordy, and it has the better visual appeal. So the importance of the domains that we just discussed, there's an acronym that is pronounced CGIDE. And so it is the most to least influential parts of one developing their giftedness or talent, or I guess the chance that they would be gifted or develop talent. So the first is chance, and that is on top because of the genetic roll of the dice and the parental roll of the dice. And those are huge. Although chance plays a role in many parts, those two really cannot be controlled. So those are at the very top of the list as most influential in the development of talents, and the chance of one having gifts. So the second is gifts, and that's important because research shows that IQ measures are the best predictor of achievement. And so that is high up on the list of influential factors. Intrapersonal is third because motivation-related behavior is really influential. So if a student has a dream and is willing to commit to the work, that is that determines how well they will achieve. But there is less correlation to achievement than gifts. Developmental is a little lower because there are no studies in this domain. Intrapersonal catalysts are believed to outpredict developmental process measures for future achievement. And environmental is near the bottom, which seems somewhat contradictory because chance is near the top. So to me, the two almost felt a little bit interchangeable at first, but this says that environmental is actually the least influential because environment does not greatly affect cognitive abilities or personality. And this is shown in research when they are, for example, as a case of twins who are separated at birth and they are raised in very different ways, but still show similar cognitive abilities or personalities. Also in the case of adoption, where a student displays cognitive abilities similar to birth parents or personality similar to birth parents versus the environment in which they were raised. And the word resilience is also in this chapter. And basically that is that individuals, it's been shown that individuals achieve despite exceptionally negative environmental factors. Therefore, environmental catalysts were the least influential in one's achievement. Identification. So in this chapter, this model identifies the top 10% of the population for natural abilities, the gifted, and the top 10% of the population in developed competencies, or the talented. And there are also major differences in that top 10%. So there are many students who are at the level 1 and 2, but very, very few students who are level 5. And that would be profoundly gifted or extremely talented. So this chart shows Gagne's metric-based system of levels of giftedness and talent. And you can see that there would be quite a few students who are mildly gifted at level 1, but very, very few. In fact, it would be unlikely that we would even teach a student who is profoundly gifted at the level 5, 1 in 100,000. So this model, the differentiated model of giftedness and talent, the purpose is to give us an understanding that giftedness and talent are two separate things. And it's really meant to be a guide during the identification process. So it should guide teachers who are deciding whether to identify students who are both gifted and students who are talented, or whether identification for a specific school is based around giftedness, or whether it is based around talent. So it would aid in selecting an identification tool. For example, if teachers were looking for students who are gifted, they would be using a cognitive abilities test. Whereas if we're looking for students who are talented, we would use the SAT or teacher-created exams or something like that. So the purpose of this model, again, is to transform high abilities into outstanding skills. So to turn gifts into talents also, and to just provide that understanding. This model is useful for researchers who are doing case studies. It's useful for scholars as they classify research, and it's also useful for administrators who are creating school policy. This model is not a classroom model. It is really an identification model, a model which was made to help us understand giftedness and talents. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.